This is for the nerds, this is for the brainiacs, this what we deserve. Go ahead and play it back, you ain't gonna touch me, you not gonna do nothing, you are not above me, I bet you wish you was me, I know it, I know.
What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Only Friends podcast. I am certainly not doing this from an undisclosed location under duress while my drug-dealing backer holds me hostage in order to recover the lost funds. That is not at all what's happening here. I'm not trying to recoup $123,000 via YouTube money or anything along those lines.
Can you show proof of life?
Just
blink if you need help.
Help me. Joey Knuckles, man, he came out and he was like, no, enough. I'm pulling the plug. So congratulations to Nick Airball. You won the whole match.
It's over.
I owe you $1 million.
Yep.
You're going to have to come pry from my dead cold hands, which, all things considered, the 15th contact in my phone book might actually be able to take care of. Lynn G, she knows all too well. We got a lot to talk about tonight. Of course, we are joined by the one and only Matt Hunt, as today is a Strat Chat Monday. Welcome back, sir. We've had a busy day today.
We have a very busy
week.
day.
Are you glad? I mean, we put in a solid 10-hour day today.
I'm glad. I'm always glad to be here, but in particular, I would also be quite glad to not be here.
Yeah.
Right now.
Yeah, I thought maybe.
All of us, even Guapo. Guapo's, he is an Academy attendee.
That's right.
This is true.
What do you think so far, man?
Listen,
is it worth the 4K?
Well, one, the camera's like square on my chest right now, so you'll just have to hear my voice.
Yeah, it's okay.
It's definitely different from other courses I've taken.
Yeah.
Where it's more brain power is needed. I've taken courses where it's just like, do this and do this, it'll work. And not so much, this is why.
They weren't solving for why.
This is why you should be doing X, Y, and Z.
Well, speaking of the Academy and Matt Hunt, we do still have a few seats available to the May 24th Academy, which is our MTT Academy. This is only the third time we've ran it. There wasn't a lot of interest.
Fourth time.
Fourth time, my apologies. There wasn't a lot of interest from my vantage point because tournament poker is not my forte, but Matt is a guru and has decided to take the reins, step up, and give you guys the best content available. So it'll be a 4-day academy. Each day will represent a different portion of the event, where the final day will play out as final tables for all involved. Matt is going to teach you all about ICM, all about risk premiums, and all the other fun stuff that you can learn through technology and solvers these days that don't apply in games where you're playing 1,000 big blinds deep.
All the stuff about tournaments that you hate, like having to fold, having to fold because you need to ladder up. And
Dan Smith, Pickleball Dan, professional pickleball player, former poker player, gave
tennis match taker,
frying pan beater,
enthusiast.
He gave me some of the best tournament advice I've ever heard, and that is the only way to lose a tournament is by folding.
Okay.
I don't think that's actually true, but it really resonated with me.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, honestly.
I was like, yeah, you know what? Folding sucks, man. I don't want to lose.
Maybe that's what I'll just tell people when they come here in May. I'll just tell them, just don't fold.
Right.
Well, it's a weird thing because actually folding prints money in some spots.
Well, if you fold 100% of hands.
I mean, you play the aces.
Yeah.
You think Zamani's out here folding?
No.
Double eagle.
Man, it's high as shit.
Mm-hmm. Is. I'm high. I feel like I'm high right now after like many days of long days of tournament strategy, and
it shows how long they've been.
Academy.
We did not talk about tournaments at all. This is a cash game strategy, but okay.
Brian's preoccupied by
game,
trying to figure out what
they
the
say
pirate
tournament
score
strategy
is.
and poker strategy.
Tortoise is out to lunch.
Listen, it's late, okay? Things are going to be not quite right.
We're popping, man. This is Only Friends After Dark.
That's right.
All right. To give you guys a bit of an update, I thought that this was very worthy of sharing and something that probably deserves a fair amount of praise, considering the events, the outcry, and the messaging that was getting traded back and forth. The Irish Open has officially released a statement with regards to one of their patrons, Louise Francior. I hope I got that right. I'm at least in the ballpark. But this was the story that we spoke about, I believe, either on Thursday or Friday, where she had an altercation with a gentleman at the table who was kind of like, depending on which person you heard the story from, had done something to gently tapping her on the leg to smacking her on the leg or something in between. But in any event, it resulted in him kind of having a bit of an altercation with her where he, screamed some obscenities, was threatened to get kicked out of the tournament. They thought he was kicked out of the tournament. Eventually, he was let back into the tournament. He was kind of overruled by JP McCain, who is the tournament director. So Mr. McCain put out a statement and effectively issued an apology to Louise. He said, "The Irish Open does not condone violence, sexism, racism, or any other form of bad behavior. We strive for our events to be as inclusive and comfortable as possible for everyone taking part and wish for our players to only leave with great experiences and memories. The Irish Open are advocates of women in poker and have also worked tirelessly in the past to ensure our Ladies Championship event is treated as a premier event at the festival. Our staff are highly qualified with experience the world over. Their job is to try to ensure that players have the best possible experience. We hold ourselves to the highest of standards when it comes to running poker events, and we will use this incident to improve further. Personally, I've been involved in the poker industry for almost 20 years and have strived to improve the game we all love for both players and staff. After nearly 2 decades of putting players and staff interest at the forefront, it has saddened me deeply to see my integrity come into question. I truly care about our players and aim to be as fair as possible with the information I have at hand, as does our floor staff. I did not know the player involved before this point, and I take any mention of abuse extremely seriously. I've subsequently extensively reviewed the matter in detail, and whilst the contact made by the player on Louise was not intended in any way to cause injury, but was made in an effort to expedite gameplay and to draw attention to the hand at play, the physical contact by the player was unwelcomed. I acknowledge I made the wrong decision at the time, and the player should have been ejected. For this, I apologize undeservedly to Louise. There's never any reason for any kind of physical interaction between players, whether it be to signal towards a player or distract or abuse. The player's behavior is not something I condone in any way. My wish for all our events is that everyone leaves happy, and I hope we can do this for Louise in the future." Very, what's the word I'm looking for? Very
comprehensive apology.
Comprehensive is one word. Very templated apology, I would say.
Professional apology.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to slight it, obviously. Just there were a lot of qualifying words prior to actually getting to the I'm sorry. And I understand, JP took a lot of backlash from us as well, where to at least me from an outsider looking in, it seemed very, very clear that this was an easy decision, an easy time to set a precedent. But in any event, ultimately this did result in him apologizing, which I do think is important. And Louise also replied in thread. Let me see if I can find what she said. Okay, so here it is. She says, oh no, it's a thread that's not a thread.
It's up over here.
Well, that's one of one, but there's 4. So she said, "Thank you for this, and thank you and Paul for reaching out to me personally prior to this release. This is all I wanted. It takes a lot of courage to admit a mistake and implement change as a result. It was never my intention to put in question the Irish Poker Open, great reputation, and JP McCann's integrity. I believe all of this will result in a better experience for all those who play the Irish Poker Open in the future, and hopefully other facilities and events will take note and learn best practices. It's been a rough 72 hours, but I hope social media can put out the fire now, stop the sensationalism, no cover up here, and just keep the conversation alive around improving the safe and fun poker experience for all." I think that's a really eloquent response. Mm-hmm. Basically she accepts the apology. She says that all she really wanted out of this was acknowledgement and the ability to better police these matters in the future. And I think this is one of those scenarios where it's just like, it's easy to set yourself up to create like a zero tolerance policy for physical interactions, or if people tell someone else, to shut the fuck up or fuck you or whatever. I don't remember his exact phrasing, but like it was aggressive enough that it's like, okay, well, warning is still going to make her feel pretty bad. Mm-hmm. Good outcome though, as far as I can tell, all things considered.
Yeah. Damage control, I think, is what.
That was what I was looking for.
Yeah, I think that casinos deserve credit in instances like this where they actually do go ahead and apologize. Because how many times have we seen something bad happen and then the casino is just like, don't give it any airspace, don't give it publicity, ignore it, pretend it didn't happen, move on. And it's refreshing to see an actual, we messed up, we're sorry. Mm-hmm. Even if it is a little boilerplatey or a little bit like, didn't get to the point of the apology right away, like you said. It's really nice to just see them be like, we messed up, we're going to do better.
For sure. Yeah, I think that's very well said. And to that end, it puts these TDs in like a really, really difficult spot because the vast majority of them are available to us via social. Mm-hmm. Guys like Savage or Paul. Previously Tony Burns was a TD for a while down in Florida. We know them all by name at all the venues. They're all in some regard reachable via social media, which means that they're also easily blasted via social media. And at the end of the day, their companies aren't the ones like kind of standing in front of them, shielding them from this criticism.
Yeah, Caesars isn't taking a bullet for whoever's
for
directing.
Jack or Jack. So it's like it's really critical that they're able to both lead their team and still be able to handle themselves in the public eye in a way that is palatable, I guess, to all the consumers. Another thing that is worth following up on, Guap, I don't think I sent you the link, but maybe I can find it for you now. The GG protest is now over. George, who we had on the podcast, I believe last Tuesday or Wednesday, maybe. You guys can go back and watch that episode. I actually think it was one of the better interviews that we've had the pleasure of doing. He came on and basically laid out the framework for the protest that the high stake players were attempting to accomplish via GG, and they were able to reach a settlement as of yesterday, I think.
A couple days ago.
Yeah. What's his Twitter? George what? YMB?
YMB, yeah.
George _YMB.
Yeah, there we go. Okay, I got it. So yeah, basically the net result was a 90% rollback of the increase to 4+ handed rake, a decrease in the 3-handed and heads up, and then GG promises to consider further trial of decreased 3-handed and up. So basically the long and short of it is GG still hiked the rake ever so slightly in 4-handed and more. But what the players got in return is to get rewarded for game starting, essentially, and reg battling. So largely, it sounds like their voices were heard when it comes to playing heads up and 3-handed, which is largely going to be when they're game starting or just straight reg battling. They've gotten a massive rake decrease. So it looks as though the rake, as it stood for okay, so we're looking at like nosebleeds. It looks like 2- and 3-handed. It's getting reduced all the way from $50 down to $35 whenever they're playing shorthanded, and then for 4+, it looks like it's staying the same at the absolute top. So like the VIP games of like 501K, they're still going to be raking $100, which is 0.1. But they did get a pretty significant decrease at 200 and 400 and below, in spite of the fact that it's still higher of what it was previously. So there was a small rake hike basically when everything shook out, where 200, 400 went from $50 to $60 instead of 50 to 100. 100, 200 went from 40 to 48 instead of 40 to 80. 50, 100 went from 35 to 42 instead of 35 to 70. So basically, instead of the rake doubling across the board, it went up nominally. Looks like somewhere between 10 and 20%, depending on the stakes that you're talking about. And then they actually got a decrease whenever you're talking about shorthanded play. So this is a huge, huge win when we're talking about the community kind of banding together. And
can be done.
Yeah, like, everybody kind of coming together and trying to help generate an ecosystem that's both beneficial for operator and consumer. Something we don't see. I mean, this might be the first successful boycott we've actually witnessed lead to a result.
I don't think it's even might be. I think it's definitely the first successful one. I don't think I remember anything being anywhere close to this successful in the past.
I recall something happening when Stars clawed back Supernova Elite,
but that didn't
Didn't
they
work,
didn't change
though.
anything.
Right,
Like it
right,
didn't
yeah.
work. Yeah.
and also I don't even think it was like a uniform boycott.
Right. I think it was just some players said we should boycott, and I'm boycotting, but there wasn't like an organized everybody's going to boycott.
And maybe like the end result just ended up being like people who weren't winning without Supernova Elite just left.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like, okay, well, they saw a little dip maybe in retention numbers or attrition levels, but like at the end of the day, Stars just rolled on. They're just a giant conglomerate, you know?
Yeah, I think in George's thread, he said that Elky was their player rep that they talked to kind of get most of the stuff done. So obviously, big shout out to Elky.
Yeah.
Former player.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm sure he was back in the S&E grind way back when. I'm sure he gets it.
Yeah.
You don't remember Elky in the day,
Well,
back in the day?
So sick, man. So sick.
I just
60
remember he fought
tabling.
Lex.
Yeah.
He just fought Lex. I remember that.
Yeah, but Elky was the one. Elky was like the original like 45 tabler. Like
was
the guy
he?
He was
Yeah.
like
Oh, shit.
one of the guys. They used to get him at like the EPT, and they would set up a bunch of screens, and they would have him do like an exhibition of himself, like 40 tabling.
Yeah.
So people could watch how insanely fast he was at just like doing everything. It was crazy.
Yeah. He was like a gamer when it came
Seems like
to...
the perfect guy to talk to talk
Yeah,
Rob.
Glover's got the footage of it right here.
Of
course.
I wonder if we'll hear from D-Negs and like Fedor, some of the other player reps now that it's kind of over and done with. And it seems like a victory for both sides. I'm curious if they'll be able to speak out a bit more about what's going on.
He was playing Sit and Goes back then, or he was just playing?
Yeah, sit and
Yeah.
goes. Like it said, I don't know if you guys, I'm going to flex the fact that I can read French here. That said, the record that he was trying to beat was 54 tables at once. So this was like a world record attempt of most tables.
Is it
played at
Nananoku
once.
who holds it?
It might have been. I don't
Yeah,
know.
I know
But
he
he
was
was
like-
the other one who was legendary for playing
Yeah.
way too many tables at once.
Way too many tables at
Just
once.
an insane number of tables.
And
Yeah.
kind of the idea is like maybe you're winning small, but you're winning because of rake back after everything's said and done.
I mean, back then you could probably just like carry a win rate.
Oh yeah, Elky was winning for sure.
Yeah.
Like I sit and goes. This is like 2008 or something. Like I'm sure he was also winning as well as being able to massively get rake back. Like just he was just probably printing some.
Yeah,
money.
it's like, you know how like when the more tables you play, there's like diminishing returns.
Yeah.
At some level, that doesn't happen anymore. Like, does it matter if he plays like 30 or 40?
Right.
Like, is there any diminishing returns
Like-
between playing 30 and playing 40?
Yeah, and also
tables?
back in 2008, you could
Right.
just like open really wide on every table all the time. You didn't have to care about ICM. You didn't have to care about like GTO ranges or whatever. Like nobody like they didn't exist. GTO ranges didn't exist in 2008 or
No,
whatever. You just
right.
had to open a lot of hands and just like jam vaguely wide, and you probably print. You know,
Imagine that, Landon.
Man, I was like 9, so
I know that's
I don't
that's
even
so
remember
wild
being
to me.
alive.
Back in the day, man, building like models and systems on how to beat online poker was the thing. We had a friend, remember Chuck?
Oh, of course.
He like had this stable of guys. They got accused of botting all the time.
Yeah.
This is like way back in 2006 or 2007. And he would get this stable of guys to just like grind 200 NL and below, which back then was very small.
He literally had a system. He's like, here's what you do. He taught them how to do it. They all played the exact same way, just like a very simple formula, and then paid them an hourly rate to go play. And then they literally thought
It kind of is botting.
I mean, in a
I
way,
mean, you're just paying human
yeah.
bots.
So this
Right.
is this
But
is
then-
just Chuck
but it's
Solver.
not because they are
Yeah.
human and they're still going to not be able to like, you know.
Yeah, but like you
make
fire them
mistakes.
when they don't do what the script says.
Yeah, well, you
Like,
know.
Like they were allowed
But
to.
the bot will always do what the script says.
That's true. That is
In
true.
the days before AI, we just used to have
Yeah.
humans be our AI.
Right.
You know.
Right,
It's
exactly.
just rats caught up in the wheel of cheese. I wonder how he ended up doing. Seemed like it was pretty
I
profitable.
think he did well. Yeah, I mean, I don't know to the extent of it, but for a while he definitely. did
I
well.
remember like a few of the guys who were part of it like would tell me the system, and it just made me want to die. It was things like only betting one street with like
Right.
top pair,
'Cause
top
it was,
kicker.
Yeah, it was very tight. It was very just like make a very small amount of money. Like,
Yeah, they would like raise
Yeah.
fold ace queen 100%.
No,
Like if you got 3-bet, ace queen was just pure fold.
I really want to know what Chuck Solver is, so I can just
mean-
look back and what was winning in the day.
Yeah, honestly, it's like pretty. It was probably like a lot of redlining and a
Yeah.
lot of just like always folding to
pretty much
aggression.
how I play right now.
Right.
Tortoise.
Tortoise
Very-
2023.
Very tortoise approved. let
Open
me
ace
tell
queen
ya.
fold to 3-bet.
Yeah, snap fold
just
to 3-bet.
listen. Get your money when you got the best of it. Protect it when you don't.
Yeah.
I take that to the grave.
Protect it.
You Mike McD, baby. Let's fucking roll. Big announcement. They got Schulman out of bed bright and early this morning. I guess Airball leaked it on his Spaces yesterday, so they had to call old Nicky for like the 7 a.m.
You know, this guy.
So
What's
do you
up,
know
guys?
with
I'm in the yard. Just woke up. Beautiful morning here in Vegas. Hope everybody's doing well. I just got off the phone with the boy B. Hanks. He put together, alongside Maury, Poker Go. Shout out everybody there behind the scenes. But we put together a live high-stakes poker game on the 27th. It'll be live on YouTube and Poker Go free. Let me read this lineup for y'all. I'm not saying this is Farha and Daniel and you know what I mean, but we got, here we go. Eric Persson, gotta have him nowadays. Tilly's a legend. Rob Young, big shout out Rob. Bill Klein, love Bill. He's action too, you know what I mean? Here we go. Matt Berkey. I mean, this guy is just entrenched in controversy left and right, beefing with everybody. Pull up a seat for Berkey, obviously. Nick Airball, gotta have this guy. I mean, nowadays there's so many games and things have spawned. And I was thinking, like, what would be my dream kind of situation? Great players in the mix, action kind of players, or, you know, most likely to start a fight or get into a fight. For me personally, I can't help it. So welcome, sir. We got Airball in there, and we have Doug Polk coming down, beefing with you know, and maybe everybody gets along. I'm not trying to put fuel on the fire, but we got this going on. Berkey, Polk, and Airball, Persson, and then Tilly, Klein, and Young just in the Lion's Den. 27th live. Shout out Poker Go. Shout out everybody. Hope everybody is doing excellent. Have a great day. God bless. I mean, let's go.
I love a good Nick public service announcement.
I love Nick Schulman.
Leave me alone, man. Why has everybody got to be
So you
up
got
in
Tilly
my
and
shit?
Klein in your corner, though, right?
Poor Bill Klein.
He's got to be on your side.
What did Bill Klein ever do to get involved in this shitstorm?
He's gonna love life.
This poor guy. No, Rob Young is gonna love life. Rob Young is the neutral party.
Right.
He's the shit stirrer.
Yeah.
Like, he will just give all of the rope imaginable to those
Bill's
three
he's
goddamn
gonna be there and he's
hooligans.
gonna enjoy the show.
Yeah.
You know why Rob is that way? It's because he's British. He's got that sense of humor. Because I can guarantee you that there's a certain element of British people that just enjoys sitting back and just watching the chaos develop in front of you and just stirring it up a little bit. Like, he's got that same sense.
The thing is with Rob and I is, like, we have a good dynamic. We have good banter that we can exchange with one another. It's easy for me to be self-deprecating and like let him dunk on me. The problem in this scenario is that there won't be a single insult thrown that isn't directed towards me. So now it's like I lose the banter with Rob because I don't really have the ability to pile on to myself while I'm being piled on by three people that, you know, let's be clear, I'm not the biggest fans of, right? And aren't the biggest fans of me either.
It's like you versus the Harlem Globetrotters, where you're just the hoop.
I don't even get to be another team. I'm just the hoop.
You're just the hoop. They're just gonna start throwing alley oops, get the trampoline out, you know, start doing 360s and shit, and you just gotta sit there and like just take it. You know, the hoop doesn't get any say.
I mean,
Burke, I have no doubt that you'll be able to handle yourself in that.
I look.
arena.
Nothing to fight them.
I'm here to play poker, man. We're playing high stakes, no limit hold'em.
Yeah. Just
Where the sand turns to gold.
Let the cards speak for themselves.
It is what it is.
Yeah, that's how poker works nowadays.
Yeah, for sure. 6 hours, we're going to play 100 hands. I mean, you know, just sure.
How many breaks do you think you're going to take?
At least 15.
I don't know, man. I'm a little cotton mouthed from all the weed pen, you know? It's going to be a show. For sure, it's going to be a show. There's more announcements to come soon. It's a whole week of high stakes poker. So be sure to tune into Poker Go. They're streaming it. None of the other ones are going to be live streamed. Wonder why they're doing that.
You're the belle of the ball.
The sick thing is that, like, for all the wrong reasons, if I weren't in that lineup, it wouldn't be interesting.
Right.
And none of it has to do at all about poker.
Nope.
Like literally zero.
Congratulations. This is what you wanted.
This is not. This is not.
What are you talking about? You're getting good lineups.
This is
right.
I am getting good lineups.
Yeah, you're getting good lineups. I mean, it's just like before, it's like you couldn't get a game, because you were just like boring guy who won all the time. That's not true, actually.
That's actually not
No.
the narrative that's being spread online.
Right. But now you're the controversy guy. You're the guy that's going toe to toe.
I'm so controversial,
You
bro.
are.
I'm
getting in fights at Bellagio.
Yeah, selling action to drug dealers.
Right. And you literally didn't have to do anything to get this. You just had to be.
You just had to exist.
You've been off Twitter for like a month almost, and this whole thing has just been going on without you even barely contributing to it.
All you need to do is start a podcast.
Yeah, that is true. That is true. The microphones are for sure a big reason why this is.
What do you mean, dude? This is the podcast and nobody watches.
That also is true. Nobody does watch this. And for that reason, I'm going to talk shit on Eric Persson now.
Can't wait for it to get clipped out because no one watches.
Can someone remind this guy how fucking cringe his social media is? Jesus Christ, man. He's out here in cut-off Under Armour tank tops going, "Hey, Matt Berkey, I got something for you." He sounds like Jungle Man attempting to do a Macho Man Randy Savage impersonation of Eric Persson. It's like, what is going on here? And, if we're going to get into, go ahead, roll the clip. Like, let's talk about this bounty he's putting out there.
Let's dissect it.
Hey, Doug and Airball, why don't we put aside $25,000 for whoever stacks Berkey first? And then I was thinking, hey, Berkey, why don't you get in on this bet too? Because I've seen you play and you often stack yourself. And the difference between this and most of the bets you make, you might actually win this one. What do you guys think?
I think it's collusion.
Wow, you were thinking, were you? Did you forget to think about the part how that's just collusion? It seems like you might have overlooked that aspect. I mean, I often stack myself. What are we talking about? You played a $2 million pot where you were screaming for a queen or a nine, and that didn't help you, sir.
Bro was straight drawing dead.
Drawing stone fucking dead for big seven figures. Like, you put in 500,000 versus Andy Stacks with the Jack 4 off on 10-9 deuce.
You put in someone with Jack 4 off versus Hicks, too,
Yeah,
Takes one to know one.
At least there was a bounty in my game. He just did it.
He overcooked.
Overcooked. Bro, overcooked.
I had outs. I can at least get there.
That is a well done steak, sir.
Christ almighty, what is going on here, man? Is that a Hitman shirt? I will.
Yeah, I was just gonna
respect
say,
the Hitman shirt.
I think you mentioned the
Bret Hart,
Randy Savage.
Bret Hart was my fucking guy, man.
I'm pretty
respect
sure
to the Hitman
that's
shirt.
a Hitman Hart hoodie.
I loved Bret Hart growing up, man.
Everybody
the
loved Bret
sharpshooter.
Hart.
The I wanted to be the little kid that he put the glasses on so badly.
Everybody did.
Yeah, man. What a gangster.
You and everyone else.
Yeah.
Honestly, though, like, I really don't know what's going on. Like, he writes, I smell a side bet. How is it a side bet to put a 25K, or actually what equates to being, I guess, a 50 or 75K, depending on how many people are involved, bounty on my head, where effectively now I'm forced to alter my strategy according to people putting what equates to 60 big blinds per person on my head. Like, I don't know how to deal with this.
You don't get to bluff rivers anymore all in,
right?
Because now no one has ever any incentive to ever fold a bluff catcher to you.
Right. So I guess I benefit from the fact that they're trying to stack me.
Well, you're
lose,
forced to only play value.
Right, but I lose in the set. So now what you're going to get out of me, you heard it here first. I'm playing Nitty on the 27th. I have no choice. I'm now in a lineup where half of it is just gifted 120 big blinds worth of bounty money into the middle. So I won't be bluffing on the 27th. You heard it here first. When I jam, I goddamn have it. Period.
What you should do is do the thing that they do in tournaments where they leave one big blind behind. So just every time you jam the river, just leave one big blind behind so they're not stacking you and they don't get the bounty.
The problem is I actually might have some tough decisions if they jam.
Yeah, that actually is true.
I'm getting 100 to 1. Fuck. Yeah, I mean, I don't, whatever. I don't care. I'll adjust. I just think it's kind of hilarious that that things are trending this way. I also just think it's like such a desperate reach to be relevant in a situation where like people are talking about things that aren't you.
Yeah, it's weird to kind of insert yourself in this way.
Well, is it? We've seen it from so many people. It's Persson, it's Lynn, it's Bala, it's fucking, whoever else is lining up to get the next heads up. Mike Brady somehow getting a heads up match versus Airball down the line. Who
the fuck is Mike Brady?
That's all you didn't have to say.
Yeah, it's like
seriously, I don't know who that is.
Who the hell am I? He works for Upswing, but like, the funny thing is he was criticizing me in the tweet. Airball got offended by it because he thought he was getting criticized, and now Mike Brady has a heads up match versus a potential Gigawell. We're not sure.
I mean, he's using the Doug strategy of just talk shit and hope someone gets mad and then get a heads up match.
Oh my God, Chauncey finally came out of the woodwork. It's about time.
Yes.
We're cat
Chauncey wants to be on the podcast.
You're scaring him.
He loves the podcast.
Holy shit, it's a cat.
We're cat sitting for Marley until Chauncey can make it over to Britain.
Mm-hmm.
Aw.
Might end up just
there's the kitty.
Might end up just like catnapping him, never giving him back.
Where do you think? Where do you think he hides during the academy?
He's in the rafters for sure. You guys can't see the ceiling, but he's definitely in the rafters.
All this controversy, all just because you wanted, stream houses to just have a little security.
Yeah,
a little better security,
bro.
That's all you wanted.
This is funny.
And now here we are.
This is funny. I'm not gonna make any friends with this one either, but like this is hilarious to me. So I've never met Blank Check Ben before in my life, right? Never spoken to the guy, never played with him. No idea who he is from Adam. No problems with him. Seems like a nice enough guy. Comes in the room last night while I'm playing Airball. And for like 30 minutes or so, Airball just has like an audience. And Blank Check is like in the corner. And anytime Airball drags a pot, he's like a little league dad. Going, that's right, baby. That's artistry right there.
That's my boy.
That's what we do. Good job, Nick. You're the best. Best I've ever seen.
God.
And then he's sitting there like in between hands, like going, I can't believe he was up 400K once and isn't any longer. Can you believe that? He's asking anybody who will listen. Darkus was in the room. He's like, Marcus, could you imagine being up $400,000 and then not being up $400,000 anymore? I know if I were up $400,000, I would still be up $400,000. It's
idiot.
like, yeah, that's how heads up poker works. There's definitely no swings of any sort.
Can you imagine being up 4 buy-ins and then not being up 4 buy-ins? Oh my God.
No, the variance on that is just like completely ridiculous.
Well, the issue is you have to play poker to get up 400 in the first place.
Yeah.
You know? It's like he's probably not a guy that ever gets up 400K anyways. So it's a weird thing to say.
I mean,
if I was up 400,000, well, it's never going to happen. So
that probably really put you on tilt.
I was so mad.
Tilted. Yeah, you probably were just
mad.
It probably got you all off your game. And
you're scaring Chauncey, bro.
Sorry, Chauncey.
Yep. Bye, Chauncey.
You literally made him run away.
I was...
You could feel how mad you were.
I was... honestly, the most difficult part of it was that Nick was playing slower because he was talking, and Nick already plays incredibly slow. So it was just like the only thing that I was even remotely frustrated by is that now he has an audience to play to, which is drastically slowing down the gameplay.
I thought we had people not be allowed in the room type stuff.
I mean, it is, but like nobody was... I knew it wasn't going to be for a long period of time, and I don't mind if people come in like here and there to sweat the action. Like Joey was in there. He had his videographer for a minute. Darkus came in for like 20 minutes, had a drink.
Yeah, I saw that.
I don't care about that stuff. Like,
no, I'm going to say something right now. That's a big ass cat.
That's a big cat. Hi, Chauncey.
It's like a mini. Man. It's like a mini tiger.
He loves the camera time, man.
Oh yeah, look
he
at
just loves it. He's gonna be sprawled out on my keyboard in minutes for sure.
I remember he's a shoulder cat. Yeah. Awesome.
I remember when I first came here and lived at the house. He would wake me up at 7 a.m. every day and just drool on me.
Oh yeah, he loves the drool.
Yeah,
he's gone now.
That's what my cats are like.
You got the zoomies.
But yeah, so I guess carrying into the airball match, we have some updates to bring you from yesterday. A few hands to discuss. Want to basically talk about a few hands that went to showdown. I think that those are the ones that are probably most interesting because A, I can reveal my whole cards, which is nice. And B, some of them have already been tweeted out with misinformation. So I think it's important to kind of get it right. Even in the ones where I played poorly, it's still worthy of getting the details correct, I think. Before we do that, though, got to give a nod to my man, Seriously Serious, as much as he's been directly correlated to the Polk and I's feud. We'll give credit where credit is due, and he just did a banger.
He's an agent of chaos.
He did a banger Rounders mashup that I assumed used some sort of AI because the voice is just ridiculously perfect.
This guy Nick Airball is a real pinhead. The game is heads up, no limit hold'em. $100,000 minimum buy-in. But he takes so many fucking bathroom breaks we can barely play 10 hands an hour. And I don't have that kind of time. But I just flopped a straight flush. So all I have to do is give him enough rope to hang himself. Now I'm going to act like I'm pondering a call, when all I'm really thinking about is Vegas and the fucking Bally's. Alright, you're 15, plus I have another 30. 33 to raise you. Yeah, I'm gonna go all in because I don't think you've got the royal. I already know before he slow rolls me.
Man, it's just so good.
That's fucking amazing.
It's so good.
It really is.
It really is remarkable. Like
The airball laugh was great too.
Yeah, well, I mean that's not superimposed.
No, I know,
He's
that's
obviously
really
just
his, yeah,
pulling
yeah.
that, but like
Right.
the fact that he was able to somehow get the, I assume the AI is just getting that good,
Yeah.
right?
It's
like
scary.
you could just
We're
like,
not gonna know what's real and what's not.
yeah, the deep
Very
fakes are
soon.
nice.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff out there. I imagine it's probably, it could be like a pre-existing thing where someone has like an AI Matt Damon voice because it's specifically Matt Damon.
Right, yeah.
Because there's like a lot of famous voices out there. There's like if the whole.
I know the Obama deep fakes are like
Yeah,
so,
there's like
so many.
there's a series on YouTube called Game of Presidents, and it's
Oh,
like
I've watched- yeah, it's
Obama,
amazing.
Trump, and
And
Biden.
they're playing gaming. They're gaming.
They're
It's
all arguing about
unbelievable.
video games, and like
It's hilarious.
Like there's one where they're like talking about what their favorite Zelda game is and shit like that, and it sounds exactly like them. It's really funny.
Yeah. Yeah, it is kind of scary because it's like, you know, once it gets so good and then all of a sudden like you see world leaders like a video leaked of a world leader saying, I'm declaring war on this country or so and so.
We're
And
like,
just
2
is that
years
real? Is it
away
not?
from some really like confusing
Indistinguishable.
bad shit happening because of this. Yeah,
Right,
for
yeah.
sure.
All right, let's talk a little bit about the match. So
You fucking lost, dude. What the hell?
Yeah.
I
You win
lost.
any of these hands we talking about?
Listen, no, I don't. I lost, and if you look at the way their camp is approaching it, you would think that the match is
over.
definitely over.
It's done, man.
We're down.
Team Airball, motherfucker.
Yo, I actually low-key really like Brown Balla.
Team Airball.
I legitimately like low-key like him as a person, but man, he is such a fucking jockstrap. He is like the biggest dick rider of all time for his boy Airball. It's so crazy to me.
Yeah, you're a bigger man than me because immediately, as soon as someone's willing to associate themselves with Airball on a regular basis, I'm just like, I hate this guy.
Yeah. I mean, you know, whatever. I'm sure that to his inner circle, he's a good guy, and that's fine. I'm not going to judge anybody off of that.
The best was the podium meme.
Oh,
Did you guys see
yeah.
the- I don't know if
Rob
Guapo
Kuhn.
has that.
Rob Kuhn put it out. It was so hilarious.
It's so good.
Bro, the internet is undefeated when it comes to this shit. Honestly, no one cares about this match at all. Literally, nobody cares what the results are going to be. No one cares about these hands. I mean, some people care about these hands, so we're going to give you the hands because the hands keep you around.
Right.
But at the end of the day,
It's all about the memes.
All they care about is just fucking dunking on these two idiots that are just out here a couple times a week, faking sick so that they can get training from Art
yes, there it
Papazian.
is. Look how great this is.
It's so
Rob,
good.
you've outdone yourself.
He really did outdo
Yeah.
himself in this one.
I gotta tell you, I'm really glad you and Rob Kuhn are friends now because he's funny as hell.
Yeah.
Like I really enjoyed having when he was on the podcast. I listened to that episode. He's done a great job with this meme.
He did a short.
Dude, the Ishan third column is so good, man.
Yeah.
He did a short on randomizing that was really good on YouTube as well.
Yeah, I actually really enjoy talking to Rob now that we've kind of buried the hatchet a little bit. And honestly, like, it's been nice too because I think for as dumb as this grudge match with Airball has been, based off the fact that like literally somehow, somewhere along the lines, he just took offense to me saying that hustlers should do a better job with their stream security, admit like during a time where they're under the biggest cheating investigation since Stones, maybe even since UB, all things considered.
Like bigger than Stones. There was an LA Times article.
Right, like the Stones thing was relatively small, all things considered.
It's poker big.
We just pretty quickly decided that Postle had cheated, and then Stones went quiet, Postle disappeared, and JFK like fled the country. So it was like, what were we left with other than
JFK?
Well, his last name is Caritis. His first name is
something.
He literally went by JFK.
I didn't know what you meant. I forgot. Justin. Is it Justin? The guy from
Justin
Caritis.
Caritis.
That's what you're talking about. Okay.
I can't remember why they called him JFK.
I was like, what the fuck?
But yeah, like, all things considered, it's like, okay, so you play on this stream. I understand you gotta suck a little pipe of the guys up top to make sure that you always have a seat. So you're gonna take offense to anybody who kind of speaks out against them. And I'm the only idiot out here who doesn't care about getting seats on this show. So like, I'm the one doing the dirty work. Fine, I get it. But like, all things considered, this is a really silly reason for us. I loathe this guy. Like, I loathe Airball. There's under no circumstance in any world will we ever be in a room together as acquaintances.
Right. And you had no opinion of him prior to this.
No. I mean, like, I did a little bit. Like, when he was a drunk asshole to Ling Ling, I thought, like, okay, this guy sucks pretty hard.
I forgot about. How could I forget about that?
Yeah, and
time moves fast.
And I never once believed that he was an investment banker. So, like, just as a guy who's been in high stakes for a long time, who's heard a lot of like young people lie about how they got into the game, how good they are at the game, where they got their money, yada, yada, yada. Like, I don't take offense to it, but like my radar is up, my antennas are up, where it's just like, okay, this guy's full of shit for sure.
Chauncey's mad right now. Chauncey wants to get at him.
Chauncey gets it. So, I had an opinion of him, but like it was relegated to what does he mean to the game and how good or bad or indifferent is it in general with regards to, getting action, right? Now, as it stands, I just think he's like generally a trash human. And I think the people that, surround themselves with him are probably either getting duped or, a little bit questionable themselves.
Not doing themselves many favors.
Yeah, definitely not doing yourself any favors. All that to say that the reason Kuhn and I hated each other to begin with, Rob Kuhn to be specific, was even dumber.
Just in case people thought it was Jason. Just you and Jason have this secret beef that no one knows about.
No, Jason, I love
Suddenly,
Jason.
one of the world's best players is going to get wrapped up in this airball thing
Trust
somehow.
Me. There's no one on earth I would want to have a beef with less than Jason Kuhn.
Now you have to play Jason Kuhn heads up for millions of dollars.
He's very, very good. He'd win in a fist fight, and I genuinely like him as a human being.
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't like him?
Right. But with Guru, we get into a fight for the dumbest reason of all time. It's the pandemic. We're all fucking trapped inside.
Everybody's mad.
We're forced to play on WSOP every single day. I haven't played online in 10 years. And somehow, like, I'm just streaming I'm just like streaming my stream of consciousness. And I play a hand against him, which, in hindsight, like, obviously I didn't play it perfectly. I knew I didn't play it perfectly, but I was going to justify why I did what I did. And, he didn't play his hand perfectly either, but he was going to justify why he did what he did. But the big thing that triggered the whole thing is I'm talking here, man. I didn't know who he was. Like, he wasn't a reg to me. So he wasn't in my database of players.
Right.
I hadn't played. Come on, John. Christ, man.
He wants you to stop talking now.
And I had just like said something. I think I said something on my stream, like, this guy is a wreck or something along those lines. And the way he played the hand, I was just like, wow, like, something like that. And man, did he get offended. And you know what? Like, I kind of get it, right? You forget, or I forget anyway, that when you have a microphone and people listening, that inherently comes with a level of, I don't want to say power, but let's say influence, that a person without that same microphone and people listening lacks, right? So it's like the same way that I get offended if Doug or, the guys at BBZ go on a stream and they just say, like, Berkey's fucking trash, Berkey's shit. It's like, okay, like, I have thick enough skin where ultimately I don't really care. But at the same time, like, when enough people start to do it and it gets down to the level of Airball where it's just like, who the fuck is this guy?
Right.
At some point, like, you're just like, okay, enough's enough. and shit's about to throw down. With like with Guru and I, it's like I think the timing of it being during the pandemic, online like popping, him wanting to like launch a training site at the same time, all these things like kind of align. And now suddenly I find myself in a shouting match on Twitter with this guy that
Again.
as of yesterday, I had no idea he existed in this universe. And then the final irony of it all is at the time Melissa's dating him and is just coming at me fucking hard. Like maybe harder than Rob. I'm like, who the fuck is this?
Life comes at you fast.
Now here we are. She's my roommate.
Yep.
Rob and I are friends.
So you didn't even know who Melissa was at the time.
No clue.
That's so
This is
funny.
like a season of a show, you know? You have like the season finale, things just kind of happen the way they do. And now you're boys, there's a new enemy to face.
3 seasons later, the 2 characters are friends.
Yeah,
now.
exactly.
Honestly, I hate to admit it because I truly don't want this for me, but at some point you do just have to kind of lean in. The script writes itself.
It really does.
I mean, we could drag 10, 12 seasons out of this. Who's next? You know, the airball thing's going to pass. Person's already getting himself in line.
Right, exactly.
You know?
Who's behind him?
Blank Check Ben.
Yeah,
Step
that's
on
right,
up.
yeah,
You know?
It's just turning into you playing people heads up.
Lynn's out there playing the ex-girlfriend arc. Like she
Yep.
throws a little wrench in there. Well, okay, let's fucking go.
You know what? You know what would really, throw a wrench in the mix here is
If I got good at heads up.
yeah, but also just go out
Nah,
and win a bracelet. Just go out and win 2 bracelets. Go out and final table to Maine this summer.
No, that would just bring a whole different collective of people coming at me.
That's what I mean.
Well, yeah, but like then I'm gonna have to like start playing high rollers. Like now, I just get to play Giga Whales heads up.
It's fun for us though.
Oh yeah, it is a lot more fun for you.
I saw something really funny where like when this stuff kind of happens and you make a joke out of it, you just look at yourself in the mirror and say, "That's showbiz, baby."
Yeah, if only we were cashing checks. Like that's the big difference here, I think, between Hollywood and this bullshit nonsense that we're doing. I mean, I guess like Nikki could speak to it a little bit better when she was saying like how common this type of stuff is just in the YouTube world to begin with. I get it. I fucking get it, man. Like 900 people are watching right
I was
now.
about to say, we got like 900 people watching. It's, midnight on the East Coast.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, I mean,
late
Twitter
night-
Spaces are
late
popping
night
off on a
podding, you
random
know?
Tuesday.
Yeah.
Hit
You
that
know,
like button, please.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Hit the
smash
like
that
button,
like.
hit the
If you're not
subscribe.
subscribed, make sure you do. If you want to leave a comment in the chat, make sure that you're subscribed. Otherwise, you don't have the option to. Also, while we're at it, big shout out to my man Caustic Pixel. He said it's interesting that this beef seemed to flare up right about the time that Robbie returned to poker, with Garrett reportedly about to return shortly, thus taking all the focus and questions away from HCL. Crush airbag. Yeah, look, man, like
Airbag.
at the end of the day, calling a spade, for what it's worth, like I've really tried to be less inflammatory because, outside of who's operating it, I actually think HCL has done a decent job of making some corrections. Now,
Yeah.
I still think that there are things that like I would nitpick over: card control, God mode, things that would make me feel a hell of a lot safer as a player. But I'm not playing the stream, so who the fuck cares what I think? Doesn't really matter. You guys go out there, do your thing. This is still the biggest show on earth right now. Like, good for them. Congratulations to HCL.
Yeah, they're killing it.
Don't care. Kill it. Do your thing. Like, let it run its course. If you can keep up this level of velocity, then like you're going to be the biggest thing in poker. God bless, right? If not, competitors will come in. We'll see, people who do prioritize things that players care about, and like maybe that changes things. Who knows? Doesn't matter. But what I do find to be a bit hilarious is that the framework by which the like carrot on the string works from the hustler side of things is this man say mean things. So we have very valuable seats that we will hold at ransom if you say mean things about this man. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like that's the way that this is kind of turned into this, team versus team, region versus region, however you want to look at it, like whatever sport analogy you want to make, where it's like you're either them or us. And at some point, the community is going to get sick of it, but not yet.
Nope.
Not yet.
Maybe not, dude. People love drama.
People do love drama. People definitely do love drama. And I may grow to love heads up. I don't know.
Right.
I mean, I played a 7.5 hour session yesterday where I did not win a meaningful pot. And I left with a huge smile on my face. I mean, until...
So did they.
Yeah, so did they. I mean, they were cheersing and popping champagne, getting some Dom flowing. But until Joey Knuckles called me and said he was pulling the plug, I was just having a great time. But yeah, like I have a sickness inside me, man. I know what it's like to play all the hands. I know what it's like to swing tens of buy-ins in either direction. And I'm fucking here for it.
Is it having that dog in you?
I don't know what it is. I just know that I'm here for it. I know that I can go play 100 at Bellagio, get stuck 100,000, and get even. And that's not an easy thing to do. That's a lot of fucking big blinds swinging in either direction. Happened 3 times over the last week and a half. 2 weeks, 2.5 weeks, whatever.
It's going to keep happening again and again.
It's going to keep happening. Some days you just win 300K playing 100. Like, that ain't normal.
Man,
but that's what I'm here to do,
man. The first
man.
3 sessions were so wonderful from the sense of, oh, get an update, plus 100, break, plus 150, break, plus 400. We're like, oh my God, this could just end now. And then it's just plus 135, even.
Yeah.
Plus 300, even.
Well, let's talk a little bit about that because we won't see the first weekend replicated again. That unfortunately that's unfortunately gone, and that's why you heard me being so vocal over the last 10 days to demand playtime. I ultimately lost arbitration. Phil ruled in favor of Airball as far as like making the time up or whatever. And largely I understand. It all mostly makes sense. His punishment mostly came from restricting him on breaks, and that's the way we're going to operate moving forward. But the EV that was available that first weekend was astronomical, and it didn't really require too much knowledge of heads-up poker from my behalf. The mistakes that were being made were very large and came with over-investing in pots in a way that only a ring player translating into heads-up can really do, right? Just a lot of 200, 300, 400, 500K pots. We must have played a dozen pots over $200,000. It's a lot of big blinds. Playing 200, 400 with an ante, right? Like, we're talking about 500 plus big blind pots routinely. To play a dozen of them over 3 sessions totaling 20 hours means that we're playing a 500 big blind pot or larger basically every hour and 15 minutes. That's a lot of variance. Yeah. Like, if you put that in a variance calculator, we're looking at somewhere in the neighborhood of a standard deviation of like 400.
You don't even factor in all the breaks.
Right. Might even be higher, right? So, that's gone now. The biggest pot we played yesterday was 140,000, and it felt astronomically large. Money just was not going in the same way that it was prior to that long extended break. He's gotten significantly better at the little things. All of the ways that were just like gifting me EV in the past, range betting every single board, for example, gone. Those edges are gone. And they were always going to disappear. It was just a matter of how quickly.
Right.
And my whole issue with it was that they disappeared after 20 hours instead of after 40 hours. Which, had we been forced to play last weekend, I imagine a lot of those obvious mistakes would have still been present.
Yeah, it's easy to just kind of do a glean over and just say, hey, start checking more, don't range bet this, 3-bet a little bit with these ranges instead, and you'll be all right.
The low-hanging fruit. Like, the low-hanging fruit can be tackled in 1 hour of coaching. Like, just telling him not to do X, Y, and Z. Immediately, his EV just, like, increases.
It is remarkable how much better he got, like, while being in bed sick for a week.
Yeah. Wow. Pretty impressive.
That's very impressive.
Shout out to, how could he not? He used promo code SICKDAY, signed up for Salt for YTV.
That's right.
And just grinded our entire back catalog of poker training.
You know what he's doing right now?
Grinding Salt for YTV.
Yeah.
Watching the first episode of Poker Out Loud.
Watching the first episode of Poker Out Loud 9.
You too.
Exactly what he's doing.
You too could get on Nick Airball's level by heading to saltforwhy.io using code SICKDAY for 1 month of free training plus a 2-week free trial. We did release season 9 of Poker Out Loud came out today. So episode 1, season 9.
The champ. is in it.
The champ is in there. Espen Jorstad.
You want to get inside the champ's mind, how he plays.
He's also joined by Ewan
free.
McNicholas, a new coach on our roster, as well as myself, Landon. Hunt, were you out there for that one?
I was out there.
I think you were out there.
I card racked this season. It's
Yeah.
one season I'm going to actually enjoy
to see
watching because I had some good hands this
You
time.
love to see it. Hunt in the mix, baby.
Yeah.
Doing all the things. So yeah, if you guys want to check out the new Poker Out Loud, if you want to brush up on
Jamin on later this season.
That's right. You want to brush up on your heads up for rolls. We don't have that content up there yet, but I actually do plan to release something on how I prep for this match, for better or for worse. We'll see how
Let's
it
do
all
a heads
shakes
up
out.
Poker Out Loud sometime.
Ooh. Oh, I kind of dig that.
I like that.
I kind of like that. But anyway, yeah. So Nick is notably better. He's not a giga whale anymore.
He's just what's one level below that.
Yeah, he might
just a mega whale.
He might just be
mega whale. Yeah.
ultra whale.
right. He may just be.
Killer whale.
He might be a killer whale. He might be an orca at this point. Can cause a little bit of
Orcas
damage.
don't fuck around, dude.
They don't fuck around. They hunt in packs though, which would explain why he has his emotional support human with him at all times.
Or his 5 separate emotional support humans.
Yeah, a lot of emotional support humans out there in the mix. Okay, so yeah, like technically he's gotten a lot better. I expected that, obviously. I've spent some time trying to get better myself. Heads up is not intuitive, is the best way that I can explain it. It takes a lot of work. You got to be out there on the grind. So, God bless him. I'm happy that he's been able to minimize his losses. But another thing that became glaringly obvious yesterday, based off of the final 2 hours of play, is that he has no interest in his win rate. So all of the training that he's doing, it's abundantly clear to me, it's to win all of the side money. So all of you assholes out there that bet on me at 1.6 when I explicitly told you not to, you've now given Nick Airball enough incentive in side bets to not actually play heads up no limit hold'em cash format. Instead, the artiste, as he calls himself, will be sitting giga deep and overfolding every single street of the game tree in order to ensure that he locks up a $1 profit when it's all said and done, because he very likely has high 6 figures or low 7 figures bet on the side.
You know what's funny? I'm obviously rooting for you to win all the money, but the second best outcome is you win by like $300.
I know.
Yeah.
I know.
One big blind.
If we go into like I'll tell you this right now. If we go into the final few hours and I'm up like very, very small, like 10K or something like that, actually, this is the most this is the most spiteful thing a human being could do. So,
Deviousness ensues.
so we get charged $200 per 5 minutes of breaks that we take that don't count.
Charge yourself all the way down to like
Plus $200.
plus $200. Yeah. Then you just quit.
I'll literally just pay the people I sold to like the hundreds of dollars that I'll owe them. Right? Like if I'm up 10K with an hour to go, it'll cost me I think it's 6K ish to take an hour off. So 60 minutes divided by 5 is 12 times $200. So it's $2,400 to take an hour off, right? So 4 hours to go, I'm up 10K. I'll pay out the 10K to the people who bought from me.
Well, couldn't he just do that too?
He's losing.
No, I'm saying if he's up small, but then he ends up like, that's just, you guys are just going to have to accept that?
I mean, I never intended on this to even be an aspect of the game because I don't have any fucking side bets.
That's right. Exactly. It's a different.
Right?
It's difference between. Yeah. Exactly.
But now he's just openly admitted that he has piles of side bets. So like, yeah, maybe we can arbitrate with Phil if he feels the need to.
There's probably something along those lines, right? Because if he just has infinite and doesn't want to play the last session and will pay whatever it is to not play it,
yeah,
it's like, well, those hours still count. If you say I'm going to show up and then take an extended break.
It's not like it's cheap.
No, but at the same time,
$2,500 an hour.
Yeah. At the same time, if it locks up, call it $500K.
Well, that is kind of the problem that should be discussed with Phil. Mm-hmm. If he's up he's up like what, 90K right now. So for every 10 hours, it would cost him 25K. Right. So if we get down to the final 30 hours and he's up 80K, He can just buy me out.
Yeah. I know like you said you might do, but I don't think in reality you would actually do.
No, of course
Like,
not, because he'd be punting hard to try to get up.
Right.
But I would almost have to do it.
Yeah.
In some regards, I would almost have to do it because if one pot swings in his favor, he'll then do it.
Yeah, but if he does it, he just looks like a coward. Like
he's a little bitch. We know he's a little fucking bitch.
I know, but then it's just like, I'm going to beat Berkey. Oh, by the way, I'm just going to buy out.
Bro, that ship has sailed. He fucking faked sick so he can study for 2 weeks.
Yeah, I know.
He doesn't give at this point. Like Nick Airball is the laughing stock of the public poker sphere. He is the biggest loudmouth bitch that poker has ever seen, and that's saying a lot, man. We can go back through history and point out all the loudmouths.
I mean, it's after midnight on the East Coast. You say whatever the hell you want.
I'm here, man. This is poker after dark. Let's fucking go. This guy is the fucking worst. All he's trying to do is find a way to be a bad poker player and scam himself into a little bit more cash, right? But don't you guys worry. I'm going to do my goddamnedest out here to make sure that we win some fucking money.
Right.
So we're going to be out here studying every single day. We're going to make it hard on him. He's only up $83,000 or $91,000, some bullshit like that. Chauncey knows. Chauncey's ready to fucking go,
Chauncey's
baby.
knocking shit over.
That is like grade A classic cat behavior right
exactly. Knock something over and just
run away.
So when it's all said and done, we're going to take care of these two buy-ins that were down. And we're going to make sure that it either swings heavy in my direction or heavy in his.
Less than a buy-in, right?
I mean, less than a buy-in, but not less than 100 blinds. It's 200 big blinds. Yeah. It is what it is. All right, let's get to a few of these hands. There are 3 hands that I want to go over that I think are pretty good ones. Let's start first and foremost with a hand that I made a pretty big mistake on.
Is this the Jack 6?
Yeah. And I want to pull it up because I'm not sure how much I was losing playing the hand this way, but I'm certainly losing. So this one's also an important one for us to discuss because Ishan reported the board texture wrong. I'm sure that Nick just doesn't care what the third card is on the board.
Yeah,
because,
I mean, flops don't matter, right?
Well, he just had a gut shot and he turned the nuts. So, like, to him...
It's just 500 big blinds deep, heads up, no limit hold'em. Flops don't matter.
Flops are overrated, bro. What's the difference between 10-7-5 and 10-7-3? You know?
would have folded Jack 6.
I would have definitely folded Jack 6 on 10-7-3. That's the big difference. So this is a single raise pot. We're probably like 300 big blinds effective this hand. Maybe a little bit. I think I had like 130K to start the hand. So single raise pot, we see a flop of... The suits don't really matter. It's just rainbow. But it is 10-7-5 rainbow. I have Jack 6 off and face a c-bet of 900 into a pot of 2,800. So just over third pot. Or sorry, just under third pot. So like roughly 30%, give or take. And I apparently have a clear fold. Now, this is a bit of a blind spot to me because quite often you're going to find yourself in situations where you have a hand that has the capability of, wrapping both straights and facing small bet. Like, oftentimes those hands are going to continue. Obviously, Jack High doesn't really have enough showdown value in this instance, and we don't really make any nut straights with the hand. So for that reason, it's very problematic to be continuing. And facing third pot, I have a pure fold. It looks like, let's see what the EV is here. I am losing 3/10 of a big blind by calling. So
losing 30 big blinds per 100 by
pretty big error. Yeah.
How much are you losing by raising? Is raising better or worse?
Worse.
Worse? Okay.
It's losing 0.35 big blinds.
But if you have the back door, it's not folding, right?
It's got to be with the hand, right? It's probably not per 100. God, you're really losing 30 bigs per 100 by floating this?
I mean, it could be measuring in pot share, I suppose.
I mean, the 30 big blind per 100 mistake is very hard. It's hard to make, and you could still make good hands.
Yeah.
Facing very small bet.
Yeah, I mean, to give you the counter, the suited varieties are all making about 0.35 big blinds.
So you're making 35 big blinds per 100? That seems like
I think it's just
that's what I'm saying. It doesn't seem to extrapolate in that way, right?
right.
I would assume not. Anyways, there's no way it's winning 35 big blinds per 100. It's so
Well, it's getting torched. And to give you a comparison's sake, so most of the 6x folds, A6 offsuit is a pure call that's basically breaking even. It's making like 0.15 big blinds. King 6 loses the least, losing 0.05 big blinds. And then Queen 6 loses like 0.15-ish, depending on suits. Some of the suits lose more.
So just having a better overcard is better than
slightly,
being able to have like the jack straight interaction.
Yeah, slightly. So my specific combo was losing like so I had the jack of spades, which is helpful. I'm only losing like 0.26. So basically, when you have one of the cards that is not a backdoor, it's better. Mm-hmm. But better of all the worst options. Anyway, I called this hand incorrectly, which led to a pretty big turn error. Turn is the suited 8, I believe. No, sorry, the suited 9. So I think it puts 10-9 of diamonds out, if I recall. It was either the 10-9 were the same suit or the 9-7 were the same suit. In any event, seemed like
he's literally looking at himself right now. Yeah.
Chauncey's just looking at the screen.
Distracting.
So funny.
He's gonna bite you. Don't talk. Let him cook. Let him cook.
really
Super confused because he sees himself and you on the screen as well as right in front of it.
Cats are so smart, man. So the turn is the 9 bringing backdoor flush draw. I check. He bets like half pot, and I think pretty good bluff candidate here. If we block straights both high and low, we block the 8-6, we block the jack 8. This all seems pretty good. What I think I overlook here is that just having an 8 is infinitely better. You block the exact same amount of straights, but you have significantly more equity. So I'm kind of reaching for a bluff here where I don't need to. But I think it was kind of a byproduct of getting the flop wrong, thinking like, oh, well, if this hand continues, obviously it's the bluff on an 8. Whereas
we didn't call this hand to just fold when we pick up equity.
Right, of course. And calling half pot with just a gut shot that's not drawing to the nut seems silly. So I turned it into a bluff. I check raised about pot, which is roughly correct. I think solver wants to go about 80% here. And I got met with a call, of course, as you would expect. Oh no, pot is the correct sizing. So now we arrive at river, and it pairs the 9. And I got this part a little bit wrong too. Even though I'm bluffing with the wrong candidate, when I'm bluffing here or value betting, even for that matter, and the board texture changes like this, we're capped at a smaller bet size. I thought it was going to be capped at pot, but we ended up being capped at like 70%. So I ended up following through with a pot size bet on the end. He snap calls me with the jack 8 for the nut straight. I think we had like pot and a half, maybe less behind. Seems like a pretty trivial shove to me. But it does mix. So it kind of is what it is, I guess. There were a lot of situations where he didn't go thin for value in big pots. So I think that, that's probably something to pay attention to, but also something that is a byproduct of him having this massive side bet. I imagine it means more for him to protect than it does to eke out extra value, because he doesn't care how much he beats me by, but only that he beats me. So, basically, I don't know what I should expect when I get jammed on in those spots. I guess like full houses plus. But there was another big hand that we played prior to this one that was the most pivotal hand in the entire day. So the one I just described ended up being a 75K pot, and was the second biggest pot that we played that went to showdown. We had played a pot earlier in the session. I jumped out to a pretty quick lead. I was up to like 50K. Played a pot early in the session where he 3-bet, I called. It came, I don't remember if it was queen high or king high, but it was like, I think it was like king 7-4, two-tone. He c-bet, I called. Turn was like a brick. He checked. I bet he called. River was the 7 bringing the front door draw through. So paired board, spades completed. He checked. I bet like 80% pot. He ended up folding. I think that pot going into the river was like maybe 50 or 60,000. And then the uncalled bet on the end would have made it the second biggest pot had I got called. But in any event, the second biggest pot that we ended up playing was the Jack 6 hand, which was only 75K. By comparison, to give you a recap of the first 3 sessions, the second biggest pot I played on day 1 was an uncalled river shove where I jammed for 145,000 and it was only a pot size bet. That was like the second biggest pot that we had played. The biggest one being where I called the 125K river bet with 2 pair where he had made a flush. On day 2, we played another massive one where he rivered. Oh man, I don't remember what the cooler was. He had trapped me with a full house where I rivered top pair, top kicker, and I bet 60K and then called a click. So that pot ended up being like 200K. And then the third day was the obvious queen jack versus bottom set hand where we ended up putting in 250K on the river. So much bigger pots. Today or yesterday was much more conservative, much smaller. So the biggest pot we played was the one where I flopped the set of 4s. So I 3-bet 4s. He calls. 4 comes 9-8-4, 2-tone, 2 hearts and a diamond. I have black 4s. I elect to check. I think we're going to check at a reasonably high frequency on these connecting 2-tone boards. He bet something around like 30 or 40%. And I went for the big check raise. So I think he bet 6 into 12. He may bet 50%. I think he bet 6 into 12. And I think I raised to 20. He then calls. We have like 50-ish thousand in the pot on the turn. And I think we had like 135K effective. So like just shy of 3 to 1 SPR, like 2.6 SPR, something like that. The turn is the deuce of diamonds, which instinctually, the second I saw it, was like, okay, this is a really good brick for my hand, but a very big equity card for my opponent. And my instinct was like, well, we should just jam. And I was like, well, jam's a bit excessive, and I don't know that he's really going to have a hand to call with. Like, his call-offs are just going to be better sets and then 9-8. I guess he could sometimes have overpairs here that he slow played. Like, by slow played, I mean pre-flop, like jacks and queens. But I don't think he's ever just going to have 10-9 suited and just call my 2.5x. Yeah. So I thought better of that. And then I was just like, okay, well, what sizings make sense here? I was like, I think I have basically pot and check. And maybe I do have some jams here, but it's not going to be with sets. It's going to be with hands that need protection, like queens, kings, or aces. So I was like, okay, 100% pot seems like it would make good sense. But then I was like, I unblock pair plus flush draws. He shouldn't really have a ton of diamonds in hand. And when he does, those hands are probably going to want to barrel. But I was like, he just has so much jack 10, queen 10, 6, 7 hands like that are like mandatory bets after getting check raised and then check 2 again. So I was like, okay, I'm just going to check and then have a really, really, really clean check shove because I think his range is a lot more draw dense than it is pair dense. I check and he checks back and I'm like, unfortunate, but
damn.
But he probably just has bluff catchers mostly. Like the majority of hands that check back are either going to be like really high equity draws that don't want to get blown off, like hearts, that are somewhat connected to the board, or a fair amount of like 9x, 8x, maybe even some overpairs that don't want to stack off, whatever. Like, okay, no big deal. River then is the 5 of diamonds. I was like, okay, bro doesn't have a ton of diamonds in range. 6-7 mostly bets the turn, I imagine. Let's just go. I probably should have bet smaller, but I went with 40K into 50K, so like 80% pot, and just get snapped by the black 6-7 offsuit. Which is kind of like, all right, there's a lot of things we can learn about this. We learned some things here.
How much do we even want to say about what we think we learned from this?
Well, not much outside of that. Clearly, he's just not interested in getting value.
No.
Like, I think that was the hand where I immediately dawned on me that, oh man, this guy might not have any interest in maximizing profits. It seems like he only really cares about winning the overall bet. And if that's the case, then I drastically need to adjust the way that I play. And I think that got confirmed once he was up, like, at one point I think he was up like 190K. And I basically just like won a bunch of abandoned pots for the last 2 hours because he was just checking out and booking his win. So I ended up losing like 120-ish on the day, playing no big pots, which is kind of unlucky, but it kind of is what it is. The last hand that we can talk about was somewhere in between those two. I hadn't really shown very many hands. I don't know if I showed anything yesterday, man. He just never fucking called.
Showed a 9 of diamonds.
Yeah, this hand, voluntarily. It wasn't because I got called. Yeah, I just don't really remember very many hands going to showdown. Like, I imagine my red line was really high. I imagine my blue line was really low.
Yeah, you're not going to win when that happens that often.
No, definitely not.
You want to have like a red line that's winning and then like a break-even blue line. That's the
or
strat.
vice versa.
Yeah.
That's fine too.
Either way, just win.
Just fucking card racket and just like a...
Yeah, if you just have a blue line, it's
okay,
just...
you're asking for a lot, you guys ask for too much.
Well, hey, Nick's been card racking.
I know, I was going to say, like...
his blue line was definitely in the plus yesterday, for sure.
It's
like,
easy when you just, like, make straights against
I feel like
sets.
every time he's gotten to the river with a draw, he's just drilled the draw.
Well, we don't know because...
When Berkey's had it, right? When Berkey's had sets and 2 pairs.
Every time we have sets, 2 pairs, etc.
Right, but there's a lot of times that I have it, I'm making river bets, and then he folds. And those are probably the times that he misses the draws.
Right. Of course.
Right?
Like, doesn't hit every single draw.
No, but I think the point more so is that I feel like when we're playing inflated pots and we get to the river, whether I have it or not, it seems like his range is mostly draws.
He only has draws.
Right? And it's like when he misses, I just win whether I have it or not. And when he makes it, I just lose more money because whether I have it or not, I'm betting.
Call that on the come. You ever heard that?
Betting on the come.
Betting on the come.
What about calling on the come?
Calling on the come too.
Yeah.
You guys have said the word come way too much.
It's after midnight, man. I told you.
Good observation. Good observation. Okay, so this is a single raise pot. I have the 9 of diamonds in my hand. I'm not going to reveal my other card since I didn't reveal it in the game. The flop comes 5 of spades, 3 of spades, 4 of hearts. Check, check. Turn is the 10 of hearts. So we have 10, 5, 4, 3, 2 hearts. Airball leads for 75% pot. We call with the 9 of diamonds in our hand. River is the jack of hearts. He leads for 75% pot again. So final board texture, jack, 10, 5, 4, 3 with backdoor hearts completing and spades missing.
Wait, was it jack? That was
that
5,
was,
4, 3, 10
yeah,
jack, right?
Yes.
Okay,
yes,
there we go.
Yeah,
Okay.
5, 4, 3, jack 10 with running 10 jack of hearts for the backdoor heart draw. So he leads 75% pot on the end. I raise full pot. He folds. And I flash him the 9 of diamonds for good measure. Probably guess one of my other cards without much effort.
I got to go back through our chat to see what you had. I don't remember what you had.
I mean, you could take a stab.
I mean, I have an idea, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah, that's fine. But yeah, I thought that this hand was kind of a fun one. Mainly because I don't know how much of his range contains, well, two things, I guess. I'm kind of like sidestepping a little bit because I don't know how much I want to say. Well, one, I don't know what he's bet calling is the first thing that I want to kind of get out there, right? So it's like, I haven't really seen him bet call in these lines that much, especially not outside of like the first couple of sessions where he was just probably way too loose with his bet calls. And I do want to be able to retain bluffs, basically throughout all lines. So it seemed like a pretty good spot where I just have a wide variety of hands to kind of go for it. I'm going to be checking back a fair amount of like strong hands. Obviously, I'm not checking back any straights on the flop, but I'm going to be checking back like, some 1 pair plus type hands and plenty of pairs that have backdoor hearts in them, which I thought was like pretty viable portion of my range. Turn B75 on the jack seems pretty reasonable. I think his line is actually like pretty good. I don't know what he had, obviously. And as far as like what he should be bluff catching with, I imagine it would be nearly impossible for him to be folding much of his 2 pair.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, when it comes to looking at things as a whole, it's just more about the sizing scheme that he takes, where it's like, okay, does his line make sense or not? We're not really worried about the 2 cards he has, unless you end up seeing them anyways. But on the aggregate, if the bet sizes make sense and they target reasonable portions of range, probably a well played line.
Yeah, I think it's probably fine. I think had he sized larger, like significantly larger here, my antenna would have went up a little bit more and have been like, oh, this is definitely a mandatory bluff spot. In game, I remember feeling a little bit uncomfortable. Like, I just have like a good hand to bluff with, I think. But I could probably just as easily let this one go.
So you're saying you didn't just have Jack 9 and you were raising for a super thin value?
No, I had 10-9 and I was just like, man, this is fucking. Just like I blocked sets, bro. I blocked.
Yeah,
sets.
What I should have done is when I checked the chat, I should have been like, oh my god, you had 9 deuce offsuit. Like, I should have reacted.
Yeah, no, it was just like, fuck, man. This is one of those mergy spots because this is what people think that I actually think about poker. This is one of those mergy spots where like I raise 10-9,
the triple range merge.
Yeah, and like better folds, like a jack folds.
Yeah,
but then sometimes he calls with like ace high and the ace of hearts.
We should have had a whole scripted discussion that was going to completely lead him down the wrong path about how much of a fish you are.
Yeah, it doesn't take much, honestly. Like legitimately, anything that has ever existed as far as like poker rhetoric goes, I think at this point has just been attributed to me. If it's bad, or lively, or involves a 2-syllable word.
Yeah, if it's a word that people don't quite know exactly what it means, people just call it yours.
Yeah, I get blamed for the down bet all the time, and I had nothing to do with it. As a matter of fact, I was like the biggest proponent of saying that's the dumbest fucking word ever used. But
didn't we get
it got pinned on me.
I think
Chin was the one who was
used it a lot.
Around me was using it a lot, but I don't think he was like the originator of the word.
Originator, but I think that's kind of where you picked it up from.
I didn't even like. It got forced down my throat. Like I said it ironically a lot.
Yeah.
To begin with, like these fucking guys and their down bets. Well, I was a half potter.
Yeah, it was back in the day when you used to think that small bets were for people who just didn't want to play big pots.
Listen, let's be clear, Hunt. Small bets are for pussies. Okay, I just happen to be one of those pussies now.
Do you know Yeah. What do you mean you're big bet Berkey?
You've gone past 40 now, so you're betting smaller.
I will say, over the last couple of years, I have gotten back to my roots a lot more now that we've spent enough time in the lab to realize that. Fuck 25%.
It's geometric. That's what it's all about now. Just go geo in every spot.
As long as I check some, I can just geo-size every fucking street. Let's go.
Geo-size on ace deuce deuce rainbow.
Oh my god, man. Studying heads up, the most fun part about it is like looking at like SPRs of 40 and seeing that the solver will still just like geo-size sometimes.
It's like 4x pot.
It's just like, oh, okay, so we're going to bet 400% pot on every street.
Like, yes.
Like,
how else do you get the money in?
That's true. That's the question, Landon.
Yeah, the downside is if you only bet 2x pot, then you end up having to like 8x pot the river. That's where it gets difficult to find those 8x pots.
No. You just get 350 on turn and river. You're fine.
Okay, fair enough.
As long as there is more than one street left to play, there's a way to break the bet sizing down into equal parts.
I play tournaments. There's never more than one street left to play.
That's fair. You are always being threatened to fall in. This one's gotten off the rails. I'm sure I'm getting clipped out. I imagine that Twitter is a buzz right now. I imagine that Airball has heard me call him a little bitch. Blank Chick Ben has heard me call him Airball's little henchman. Actually, I might have just done that for the first time just now.
I don't even think this is the first time you've called Airball a bitch, though, is it?
No, it can't be.
No.
I called him a bitch under my breath whenever we were nose to nose. Sit down, bitch.
And you're just whispering under your breath the whole time when he's sitting there, just like he can't.
Honestly, I might. I might just like, it's harder than I thought to be completely silent the whole time.
I'm glad to see the consistency from both sides. You call him a bitch, he calls you a bitch. There's a lot of animosity everywhere. The spaces last night that he had was pretty unhinged, but
I didn't make it. I fell
It's kind
asleep.
of some good content.
It would honestly be pretty hilarious if he's like sitting there facing a river bet, like he's like doing another 7-minute tank, and you're like, you're a little bitch.
I'm gonna start because he does these fake tanks in so many pots, so many river decisions where I know he's folding.
Surely it's his way of playing fewer hands.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. Everything about this entire match is Airball just gaming it so that he can play as few hands as possible, have the variance be as high as possible until he needs to lock it down. And then just try to win all the side bets.
None of his behavior so far is consistent with somebody who actually genuinely believes himself to have an edge over you and wants to play as many hands as possible in order to realize that edge.
Yeah.
None of that is consistent.
Yeah. No, all fugazi.
Whereas you the whole time have been like, I want to play as much as I can. I want to play more hands, longer sessions because I have an edge.
I don't even know what the fuck I'm doing.
Yeah.
Bro, I'm out in these streets. I'm floating flop with Jack 6 high, man.
Clipped.
Clip
I don't know what I'm doing.
Clip that. Yeah, I'm out here fucking wailing it around. You know, single raise pot, Jack 6 off, hit the muck, baby. Hit the muck. What are you doing? Lesson learned. All right.
Sometimes they're expensive.
Yeah, that one was a pricey one. Won't be the last time.
Well, it wouldn't have been pricey if he just didn't have a straight, you know?
It wouldn't even have been known if he had just shoved the fucking river.
Yeah.
I would have folded.
Yeah, that's true.
And then I would have texted you guys. I'd been like, Jack 6 a little bit loose. You'd have been like, nah, it's a little loose, my guy.
Yeah.
Keep it under wraps. You know, he wanted to see your cards. He just called just to get the information.
He might have.
Info call.
It might have been an info call.
Gotta get that info.
He was as soon as I tabled my hand, he's like, "You're out here punting." It's like, yeah. What are you doing? I thought that's what we had agreed to, man. Did you not read the script? Your name is Airball.
Yep.
Yeah, Airball doesn't have much air these days.
What are we doing? You only 3-bet 3 times a session.
Yeah,
what are we
need
doing?
a new nickname for him. It needs to be
Flat ball.
Nick Nutball.
He's flat fucking tire.
Flat tire.
Get me out of here. We have one day of the Academy left. We're going to roll into tomorrow. For anybody who has the free roll access pass, you can go ahead and watch yesterday's Academy footage for free. If you haven't already, head over to solveforwhy.io. Be sure to check out the new episode of Poker Out Loud, Season 9. That's up and available now. Use sign-up code SICKDAY if you want to get 6 free weeks of Solve for Why TV. That code's going to be available until this Airball match ends. Lord only knows when that's going to be. I'm heading home. Yeah, thank you, as always, Hunt, for joining us. We appreciate you. Thank you for all the hard work you've been putting in here at the Academy. The students all appreciate you as well. And thank you guys all for tuning in to our antics. I don't know what the fuck this show's turned into, man, but I know when those lights go out, we get here after dark.
Man, I will say the show that nobody watches has gotten pretty big.
It's a little unhinged here, baby. It's a little unhinged. Thank you guys all so much for tuning in. Thank you, Nick Schulman, for getting my butt in the seat for High Stakes Poker. We'll see you guys all there the 27th. We'll be back tomorrow, same time as tonight, 8 p.m. That'll be the last time we're after the dark, so we'll be back on the rails come Wednesday. We'll see you guys then.
The master of controversy.